Hey, we're here. I'm giving you a little thing up front about please put all questions you want to put into the chat for us to see in the comments. Put those in caps because otherwise it's just impossible for us to keep up with this. I do have about 6 or 7 issues to go over that I culled out of the comments, which meant it's every single comment I got, guys. So anyway, so we've got 3 or 4 people watching us. I'm going to talk today about the questions people ask first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a really good source for crystal information that isn't me. It's a lovely young man from York, England, named Ethan Lazzarini, and he has a great website, and I'm going to give you the link to all that. And then, and of course, Kelly's going to back me up on all these questions, and I'm going to start with the comments and things that have come in that help us. Let me see. I'm going to get rid of the put all questions in caps. I'm going to get that off. Hide it. And this, if you remember a week or so ago, EF wrote us and she had a choice between renting, finding a house, or whatever. And I saw her clearly going to a house. So she wrote me the most lovely thank you note saying, I found the house. I found the house and they're moving real soon. So
yay. Congratulations. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. And then the next person that was in the comments was Nancy. That's Cast is actually the part of her last name. She came through Dallas this summer, and she and I tried to go to the Japanese garden together, and it was just a disastrous day for me. It was way too hot. Okay. My heart decided to beat too fast, so I had to turn around and go home. I was very pissed. Very pissed. Came home, talked to my doctor about, I've come up with an exercise routine to try and build more of my core strength. So that's my problem out of this whole bitch. But she's a lovely lady, and she was here visiting a friend in Fort Worth, I think, and that's where they were. Anyway, she has set up her own channel, so please go over, like, and subscribe to her. She's got a few shows up. Now, the other thing we need to do is send some thoughts and prayers to her because she's had a back injury that's from 35 years ago, and they've never really gotten rid of it. She's facing surgery on the 29th to have her back fixed. And I kind of know the surgery she's talking about. It's one that's relatively successful. So we're all praying that she gets complete success in that so she can become a more active, lively part of our tarot community, and yay to her. The other thing I'm going to show you that she does, she makes mandalas, and she sent me this. Isn't that gorgeous?
Beautiful.
And I love it because I'm always sending people stuff. And she sent this one to me. She sent it in a white frame, which was very pretty, but the post office did a job on it. So I put it in one of my black frames. So when you see it, Nancy, that's why it's in a black frame. Okay.
Well,
the next one's a little bit
always nice, isn't it, when you receive something in the mail?
Oh yeah, that you don't expect. I love going to my post office box.
Yeah.
Prayers for Jolynn. Jolynn's family is suffering from an incredible tragedy, and I'm not going to go into the grim details because when I told Kelly, she almost threw up. So we're not going to go there. But Jolynn and her whole family needs a lot of healing. Someone in their family was actually killed by someone. They caught the guy. So justice is in the works, except it'll never be fair to the person who died. And we pray for her little spirit too, okay? Absolutely. Now we're going to go and we're going to bring the garden in here. And we're going to do this, and we're going to make the garden the big one. Okay. The next question is from Cartomancy, who you see in the chat quite frequently. I am not looking at the chat right now because I'm trying to read your questions and keep the show like moving.
I'm looking at the chat. I got you. Nancy, Cartomancy Mesquite is in the chat. Hello, everybody in the chat.
Okay, Cartomancy, and hello to everyone who's here. Cartomancy, I am going to use cards to read about your question. Cartomancy's grandson suffers from seizures and has been on a regimen of medicines, which they do sometimes. And then they, you only take them for so long and they have to check. She's a little concerned about them taking him off. So I'm going to ask if first question I'm going to ask is the one I always ask when it's a medical question. Are you working with the right doctors? And that'll help you a lot, because I feel like when you're working with the right group of physicians or healthcare providers or Chinese medicine people or whatever you got, that helps. So is she working with the right doctors? Yes, you are. You've got the Chariot upside down. I think for a while you worked with some people who didn't get it right. This group, they may be control freaks, but they know what they're doing. And I think you're going to be very pleased when they take them off the meds, because this tells me a burden's being lifted. It's going to give you an answer, but not completely. They may switch meds or play with them a little bit, but I think they're going to figure it out. And it's going to be a great relief to his mother and to you, Cartomancy, that it's going to go this way. Now let's see if he's still going to be dependent on medication. I have no idea why he has seizures or how they came about. That kind of helps some, but we only have so much room in comments, and I don't blame you. I hate typing in comments too. So we're going to see is the outcome okay for him? He's got the right doctors. Is the outcome going to be positive?
So I got a yes.
Mm-hmm.
That she's using the right doctors, or she's working with the right doctors. I got a huge yes that it's going to be a relief for him, as well as his, as well as Cartomancy and his mom. And I also got a yes to taking him off the meds, and that he'll be okay.
I think we're going to argue about this one. I got a no. I think he's going to have to go on it for a while, because they're going to his follow-up blood work is going to show it's required, but they're headed in the right direction, definitely, with the Empress and the Messenger from Page Cups.
Well, they may have to mix a cocktail. Back in the day when I used to work in the group home, I worked with several people that had that took like anti-seizure medication, shall we say. And you have to go and get blood work, and depending on whatever reason you have the seizures due to, and they have to keep changing the cocktail until they find the right cocktail that works for that person.
And we don't know the age of your grandson. I've met Cartomancy, but I can never tell how old people are or where their families ought to be. But if he's like going into becoming a teenager and his hormones are starting to raise, all that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely does.
In how they handle everything.
Yeah. Blessings to your grandson, Cartomancy.
Yeah, we'll send him some energy too, because he needs it. I mean, it's just a lot. It's just a lot on your own mind to go through. Okay. Now this is a group question, but it's really not. I actually had 3 people ask for the same thing. So rather than keep retyping the message, LT is the first one we're reading, and I'm going to read in the garden a message from LT Spirit Guides.
Hello to everybody in the chat.
We'll get there eventually and see you. I will promise. Okay. For you got your body and your clarity are in.
Oh, interesting, Cartomancy. She says that her grandson started taking them when puberty started, so around 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got, you're getting a lot of clarity from your past. You've got the clarity card is in the fire. Use the ideas you carry from your past lives to find a solution. That's what your guides are trying to tell you. And they're also saying to look that you've already had a chance in this life, with your clarity being just in the past, not just in fire, that you've had success at something and it's going to be reintroduced to you. It's going to be an incredible synchronicity that's coming into your life. And also this stone means, where it sits means to embody your past, and that your body, and when I say embody your past and ground into your body, it means trust the signals your body gives you. Like I said, when I was talking with Kelly and she got chills when I told her that story, it's because it would move all of us that way. And you got to kind of feel, and you have to tell people how your body feels. I mean, I wouldn't announce it to every stranger, but you need to kind of become aware of those things. That's how your spirit's talking to you right now. You've got your actual spirit stone is the amethyst is in water, and when it shows up in water, you've already completed your changes, the changes you've been going through, and they were headed towards go for it. So that means you're going to be given some options to use some new information, new ideas that you have, and it's like this kind of stone layout is sort of like everything old is new again. It's stuff you know how to do, but in this time frame, it's going to work out much better. Don't be dissuaded from that. And you've got the final thoughts for what's coming here. And the path forward for you is, more and more abundance is going to be created. This is your value stone, and that's what it means when it sits right here in the garden. So I'd say for LT, you've got some great stuff coming, but you need to pay attention, because don't fall back on, but that didn't work before. Give it a shot, because it may work this time. Okay, now we're going to EW.
Can I just tell you, Nancy Jean, so I threw some cards while you were talking, and I literally threw, every card I threw was exactly what you were saying. I got the Six of Water, or the Six of Cups, so, the past. I got the King of Air, so, being objective about the situation, being knowledgeable, right? Using your inner wisdom. I got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, so that's that falling back on that lesson, right?
Right.
I got the Ten of Earth, or the Ten of Pentacles, on the bottom of the deck. So the good things coming up.
That's the abundance. That's the abundance that's back here. That's her path forward. Yeah.
I pulled 2 oracle cards, and the first one I got was cloud shape shifting. So things are moving in a positive direction for you. And then I've got the cedar tree, which is wisdom. So my best advice is don't forget that you have that inner wisdom and that inner knowledge, right? And so if you feel like you're falling backwards into old patterns, or the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and all that kind of stuff, take a moment, get quiet, tap into that inner wisdom that you have, because we have those answers within us. Oftentimes we forget that, though, right?
Right. Way too often. We're like, it didn't work before. And we're going to go at the end of this, we're going to talk about the incredible shifts that are happening energetically in the universe and why no one's sleeping well. Okay, EW, what's your message from Spirit? Oh, wow. You guys. And I love it. That means all the elements are surrounding your clarity. The past, the water, the air, and the earth are all touching in your clarity. So we're going to start there. And your thoughts are kind of everywhere. Your thoughts can be very, very clear. Use the ideas you carry from your past lives to find the solution. The earth is telling you you've got a lot of new ideas rising up out of the combination of these two things, and the water is going to nurture them. And you have all the clarity you need right now to move forward in your path. And this makes so much sense with the astrology that's out there. Your spirit fell into true. And when the spirit falls into true, spirit is in complete harmony with the plans you're going to come up with. And your body's in fire, and that's, you're embodying things from your past, which means you're pulling in the good things from your past and learning how to live with them. EW, your values are there in the fire too. And it says, clarification comes from dealing with your plans and how to weave them in with your past. And then up here, as if we haven't heard the word past enough today, mind is in past. And it says, break from previous patterns and learn from that experience. And it's all got to do with your sacral chakra, which is mind is aligned with all creativity. So you're coming up with some new plans, some new ways to deal with things. And it's an absolutely marvelous time because your clarity is completely focused. You've got the basic elements. I always think of that being at the heart of your at the heart of your chakras, at the heart of your soul, when those four are aligned. So, girl, go for it.
Absolutely. I just want to say that Pauline, I noted your question, and when we get through these, Nancy Jean can address that for you. Okay, love. And Nancy Castro, we have your question coming up, right? Nancy Jean?
Nancy Cass, we already did it.
Oh, we already did it for her spinal surgery?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I told everybody to pray, and then I don't see, I had real good feelings because I showed your mandala so your mandala, however you say that. But this lady is so nice and so gracious and so great, and
Oh, that's right. She sent you the mandala. I'm sorry.
Right. She when you meet her, you would not know. Sometimes you meet people and they've got some great pain in their body and it almost spills over, falls on you. She's been able to contain this for 35 years. She's going to be able to let it go. And you're picking a great time between the new moon and the North Node conjunction.
Yeah.
New energy coming.
For anyone who's putting questions in the chat, I'm taking note of the questions. So right now, Nancy Jean is answering the questions that were left in the community tab. So she's doing those first, and then when we're done those, we can move on. Just real quick for EW, I got everything that you said again, so I'm not going to repeat it. But literally, I got the 3 of Wands, right? So
right. So it's moving forward.
Yep. Pay attention to the balance, right? The work hard, play hard, that kind of thing. I pulled 2 oracle cards, and this one here is just beautiful. If you can see that, and then I'll read it to you. It says, cross the bridge of happiness. It leads over the depths of your emotions. So allowing yourself to go through that process, right? To get to the other side, we have to go there. We have to merge, we have to purge, and then we have to release. And the way that you do that is by regaining your balance, right? In terms,
and I think she's doing that because she had clarity smack dab in the middle of all of the basic elements we need to survive.
So that's encouraging. Then that means that you're moving in the right direction.
Right.
Awesome. Love it.
Okay. We're going to go messages from Spirit for MB. And you see, guys, how these all kinds of lay out differently all the time. And, and MB's mind is in her root chakra. Well, really. Creativity is your key to security, which means you got to keep moving and dancing and understanding what's happening around you. Something's coming up for you, though, because you also have spirit. Connection with spirit is needed in this situation, and you also have spirit and go for it. And when spirit's and go for it, that means spirit is aligned with all the good ideas. So this is your mind's in the right set and your spirit's in the right set. Your clarity is coming out of things from the past. This is the booger bear in here. Things from the past are clouding your judgment. You're letting your past thoughts muddy things up a bit because your body just wants to move on. And water and air are both flowing out. This is flowing out through the earth. This is flowing out through the spirit. Air, in this case, is saying ground your thoughts. Don't get mucked up in your past. And you have new values growing out of the earth. And that is there's more is going to be brought forward. So you don't know everything you need to know to make some of the decisions that are going on around you. So it's spirits, the warning spirits is telling you is keep your eyes and ears open because you have the creativity, you have the ability, the flexibility of your own mind to be able to do really well. And that looks good. I'm so glad all 3 of them came out nice. I hate it when one of them sucks.
I've got the up from the depths of releasing difficulty. I've got mountain, which is your strength, right? Don't forget that you are strong, right? You've already done lots of work and you will continue to do more work. Remember to tap into that strength. And then I've got this beautiful card, which is rain and renewal. So you're heading towards, that moment when you release and bring in more peace. And it's beautiful. I feel really good about that for you. Keep doing the work. You're headed in the right direction. It's beautiful.
Okay. Next question is, I'm going to put the 2 of us up here. I'm going to remove the garden and make us equal. Okay.
Woohoo! Hello,
Um,
everybody.
hello. Someone bought a crystal for protection and got it home, and I totally agree with the. I have a giant tourmaline. I mean, I have a giant tourmaline like this big at my front door that's supposed to keep all the bad stuff out. And so far, no bad stuff's made it in. So I think it works. But she said that exposure to that stone was making her feel ill. And had she done something wrong? Was there something wrong with the crystal? Well, I went to one of the sources. When I first studying crystals, I went to this guy's websites, and I put it up here so you can get it. His name is Ethan Lazzarini, and he has a whole page about when you get protection crystals, or if you just buy a crystal and all of a sudden it kind of makes you woozy, or it makes you sick, or just sort of backfires on you. He goes through the steps to how to accept a crystal in your home. And the first thing you should do is clear it, because you got no idea whose energy's on there. And I don't know if any of you watch Cash Peters, but he did a whole thing about how someone told him he really needed a moldavite. So he got a moldavite crystal, and we started wearing it around his neck. His cat wouldn't come near him. Moldavites are very powerful crystals. He didn't realize how powerful until he talked to somebody. So he kind of did some cleansing stuff and some programming. Remember, you can program crystals. You can make them become your friend. But if something's making you ill, the first thing I do is remove it from my space, from being like, I think she was wearing it. That's the impression I got. Cleanse it, and I would use smoke. You can use sound. Moldavite you can stick in water, because that comes out of volcanic tubes. Water's not going to wash it away. But it's, put it in the moonlight, put it in the sunlight, because sun's not going to bleach out moldavite either. But do what you can to cleanse it. Then bring it back gradually. Wear it for a little bit. Do you feel okay? And test it out, and then talk to it. And I had a lady who wrote me last week, and she'd taken a bunch of spare crystals she had lying around her house, and she made an acrylic tabletop and put them all in it. And she said then she felt awful, because she said, oh my God, I'm trapping, and they're supposed to continue to grow. Well, they grow in energy when they're with humans, when they tie to, or when they're around plants, they grow in the environment they're in spreading their good energy. But if I thought acrylic was going to kill a crystal, I would be making the eggs, right?
Mm.
And if you look at this egg, this is the heart, this throat chakra.
Beautiful.
It's an acrylic, and it's here. And they still work. I mean, I used to worry when I started shipping grids and I affixed stones to certain parts on the grid that would affect their power, and it hasn't at all. Because when I did them for just people that were close to me here in Dallas, they'd meet with me, I'd show them how to build it, then we'd gather all the stones up, they'd take it home, and they'd build it again for themselves. Right. But either way works. So if you want to learn more about crystals, then, because there's some people I know who watch me. Don't all you people say, we love your crystals. I know you do. But there's some people that crystals are not a turn on for. And so I think if you go to Ethan, most of the stuff he wrote prior to 2019 when I first found him. But he's really, really brilliant. And if you go to his website, he has a free downloadable PDF book, and it's 42 pages long. And it's how to pick your protection, how to pick your guidance crystals. And he uses astrology to help you do that. So, and I actually, when I was first working with crystals, I read a lot of his stuff. And I used it when I built my first crystal. I used some of the guidance from his, because he also talks about the same stuff I do, sacred geometry. And these are the guys I learned from. So please go. And if you want to, there's a thing where you can message him, tell him you heard about him on Nancy Jean's Garden, because I mentioned to him today when I went to get all of his information, I sent him to contact me and said, I'm featuring you on my garden. And maybe if we really pressure him, he'll come on and do a collaborative with us.
That would be awesome.
He lives in York, England, but I think he'd be brilliant to have for that. Okay.
Excellent. Now, Tammy did say that she tried a bracelet before. she bought the tumbled, and it made her wrist hurt.
Oh, well.
And hematite makes her hurt as well.
They're grounding crystals. They're pulling your energy in, and if your energy is already wound up tight, it's like strangle holding even more.
Yeah.
Okay. Carol L. Issues surrounding her state going to be settled. So we're going to go back to you, and I hope I'm not making everybody terribly ill doing this. But and there was you, Kelly. You were the star of the show.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Okay, I know the whole backstory on this. I'm not going to bore you with it. Carol knows it too, and unfortunately, she's lived with it far too long. But she's in the process of being in some legal transactions to free up parts of her estate. And so she went and started to work with it. And she wants to know if I can find a time, if I feel that there's a time. And you can tell time on the garden. This is summer, spring. Oh, no, I'll get it right. This is fall, winter, spring, summer, fall. And it's the way you tell that. It doesn't matter kind of what order these are, because the one thing about laying out your garden is air always needs to point as close to north as you can. And so this is northeast, southwest. And that's how I figure out the season. So if my north was that way, then this triangle would be up there and it would still be winter. And if you want to learn more things like that, I'm starting to have my garden parties for my members. We're going to have the first meeting on Saturday. I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to throw you and see if I can pick out a time frame for Carol. Oh, yeah, it's this fall. You're right. She said she had an inkling it was fall. This would have been summer. This would have been winter. She got 3 stones in the fall, and it's going to be really soon in the fall. I think you're going to hear good news in September, and all the paperwork will be done by October.
I just asked the Pendulum if it was going to be settled by the end of 2022, and I got a giant yes. So,
okay, I hope that helps you, Carol.
Thank you, Jean, for becoming a new member.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes, woohoo. Okay, now I'm going to be off I'm going to turn it. Okay, turn Carol's question off, hide, and go into comments. Okay, what questions do we have?
All right, so if you go all the way up to 1:12 your time, Pauline.
Okay. $1:12. Okay, I'm at 1:15. No wonder I'm not even there yet. 1:12. I can't believe it takes so long to get up there. Okay. This is her question.
Yes.
Oh, if you want to join into my community, it's $3.99 a month, and it's month to month. And I'm, like I said, if you do this before the end of this week, I'll check. And anyone who I have not yet sent the Zoom link to will get a Zoom link to come into my community. And it's to learn how to read the garden. And this is going to be a perfect time because I'm going to really go back to basics. So that's the answer. And trust me, guys, it took me 2 damn weeks to figure out. YouTube's not terribly flexible. Okay, where else you got?
Next question is Melissa at 1:15. Okay. Jean says that I cannot miss Nancy Jean's garden parties, and she will bring the pie. And Terry Ritter has just become a new member.
Good. Who am I looking for at 1:15?
You're looking for Melissa.
Oh, okay. And God bless you, Melissa. You put it all in caps. You have no idea how much that easier it makes it. Do my parents, Mary and Michael, have a message for me? Oh, I've got a great deck for this. And so the garden's going to go away for a bit, although I love having everybody get a chance to see it. And it likes to be seen.
Oh, fellow Canadian in the house.
Uh-oh.
Tammy Kennelly. Hi from Wainwright, Alberta, Canada. I'm in Ontario.
Very
Welcome,
good.
my fellow Canuck.
Did you see the vacation poster come to Canada?
Yes, I
We
did.
can have abortions. We can.
I know. I did see that. It was cute. Vicky, I didn't see your question, love. Can you stick it back in the chat for me? I'm sorry if I missed it.
I didn't see any. And then, oh, hi, Esther. Good news about your house. Okay, I'm going to use this deck for this question because it's. I take it your parents are not here from the way you put the question, but this is talking to heaven, and my light is not doing it any favors. It's a deck that was put together by James von Prague, and I've had it for several years because I used to get these kind of questions at the table, and I don't talk to dead people regularly. It's not my thing, but this deck I found was a really clean way for me to get their messages to you as accurately as we could.
Well, now that is just beautiful.
Okay. Oh, this is a gorgeous message.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, I'm trying to figure out how to get this to where you can. I'm gonna bring the table back because the cards look better than the table. It says, I am with the rest of the family. And isn't that a beautiful picture? Sort of standing in the sunset and all that stuff. And when you get that card, the way you translate that, he has a message. And sometimes when I'm reading them, I get other information, but I'm with the rest of the family. Please don't worry that I am alone or lonely. Your parents are together. I'm astounded by all of our loved ones. They met me when I traveled here and have been like one sweet family reunion ever since, without any drama. I think that's probably a big issue for you, Melissa, because that kind of jumped out at me. Every relative and friend you think about is here with me, and they send you their love. So they're sending you their loving support. Family relationships are quite different here in that there's pure love and no ego competition. I'm so looking forward to having that with my siblings, and they're all still alive, except my sister. So all the annoying habits have dropped away. Our memories of our human quirks are handled with compassionate sense of humor. Everyone has been in constant good mood, and no one is in a rush. Defenses have been washed away, and our hearts are as open to one another as they could possibly be. From a relationship perspective, this truly is heaven. So if you were concerned that that wasn't going to work out for them or that they were not happy, then this is just, I'll put it up closer to the camera.
It's just beautiful. I basically got the same thing, which is, this is from the Energy and Spirit Oracle. So this is divine presence, the force of love and creation. So in other words, I sort of feel like they are all around you. I did pull another card, which is dawn, and I've got new beginnings. And so I don't know if you're I don't know if you're asking them for assistance or asking them for their approval or asking for their okay. But I think when you look at those two pictures, right, of that real quiet place, maybe go out into nature and ask them, just talk to them. I feel like they're telling you that things are gonna move in a positive direction for you.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're going to be really good. Okay.
All right. So your next one is Jean 06460 at 116.
I found her. Thank you for putting it in caps because while Kelly's doing things, then I can look. Okay. What are your guides saying to you in the garden today? Ooh. Well, they're saying your spirit's out of control. It just rolled right out of go for it. You're in a great place. Oh, you did this to me. Your body is on a corner, and so is your clarity. That means I have to read all 6 of those faces. I don't mind, really. It's just okay. Probably the biggest problem probably the biggest pain in the butt on this one is this being false. But no, what this says is you need to listen to your body for signals about which direction to go in. You've got physical changes are coming very soon, and you're embodying things from your past. I think part of what I feel from this setup is you've always healed well in the past. I think you've gone through a small illness and you're heading into a new one, to a new state of being. And your options aren't really clear about that, but your body is engaged with your heart chakra and your solar plexus, and that's cool. Body's bringing forth much more power for you, and physical form is tied to the freedom of your heart. So when your heart is feeling free and carefree, you can move forward. So whatever this small thing you felt like was somewhat of a setback you felt in your body, it's going to go away. So now we got clarity, and it's going to be in fire, water, go for it, root, sacral, and past. Is that enough clarity? We're going to start with the chakras. Your clarity, this is great. You're currently tying to cosmic wisdom, and that's what you need to do for the base of where your life is going. In sacral, it says creativity is needed to harmonize all your intentions. And a lot of what you're pulling in now, and the reason it feels awkward to you, is you're pulling in past life stuff. Use the lessons you learned in the past to move forward. When you're in fire, use the ideas you carry from your past. It's basically the same thing as this. From the past to find your solution. And then water is great for you at this point, because when you combine this energy, you're going to have all the clarity you need, and you can just swoop forward. Now I'm going to look at spirit being and go for it. Your spirit is completely aligned with your ideas, and you need to feel that, and you need to not surrender to feeling insecure about things. Your mind's still in the past, though. Mm-hmm. This one clearly says break from previous patterns to form this new experience. And then your values or your grounding is over in air, and it says mental actions are the path to your abundance. So you need to get your mind, use the things you need to use from that period of time. You've got all the clarity you need, and you've got all the energy in there you need, and you've got the energy in your body, but your spirit's saying, go for it. So just use your mind, use your brain, and think your way through it. It looks great.
Sorry, Nancy Jean, I didn't mean to cut you off. Deb Dubois, thank you for being here for your first time with Nancy Jean.
Yes.
And I did get your question. I do have it written down. And Tammy, I just wrote yours down. For Jean, I got basically everything in my cards as Nancy Jean did, but really quickly I'll show you. So I've got letting go of urgency. So surrendering, allowing yourself to feel a freedom of a time constraint. And, you know, not to like turn this into the Kelly show, but, you know, it can be the
Kelly show. I'm fine.
I have anxiety, panic disorder, and depression, and I've had that since just shortly after my mom died. The very next day, I found out my father was terminal and dying, and I literally could not take in anymore, and that's when I started having panic attacks. It has taken me 10 years to get to the point that I'm at now, which is so much better off than I was before, but I spent 9.5 years in a state of complete isolation and fighting myself the whole entire way. And so this is personally from me to you, Jean. Please remember that you are a beautiful person, a beautiful soul, and that these things don't have a timeline. So whatever your situation, whatever you're going through, you have to be kind to yourself and allow yourself the freedom to merge and purge and release and forgive and you know, accept and move forward at the pace that you're going to do it at. And like, you can't push it. You can't make it happen. You can help it. Right? You can help it by learning new things and manifesting and setting intentions and coming from a place of joy and gratitude and lifting your vibration and all of that wonderful stuff. But there is no timeline for this. So be kind to yourself, right? Speaking to what Nancy Jean was saying about getting back into those old habits, right? That negative self-talk, that self-sabotage. When that little voice in the back of your head says to you, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you're too skinny, you're too tall, you're too short, you have 6 toes, whatever it might be, you say, no, thank you, I am not listening to that today. You have to train that negative voice to not stop you and not take away your power, right? All right, so I've got Tiger, which is divine timing. Good things come to those who wait. So again, speaking to the patience and speaking to that letting go of that timing, that sense of urgency. I also got lightning, which is breakthrough. So you are on the right course. You're on the right path. It's going to happen for you. And it's like anything, like when you're looking for love, when you're looking for the right top, whatever it might be, looking for a particular, TV, you can't find it because you're looking for it. The minute that you stop looking for it, boom, it happens. So,
okay, I've got a question.
I'm off my soapbox.
Okay, I'm going to kill the garden, and once again, it's your show. How do I serve as a multidimensional galactic ambassador as told by Ursula in the mini galactic astrology chart done by her? Go back to Ursula. When you talk about it, one of my best friends, to speak with frequently is Dr. Gale. And I totally admire what she does. But I have fought being kept in heaven, being kept in councils outside of this planet. They love it that I'm here because, but when person did my Akashic records and said, you could have stayed on the other side and all this stuff. And he went looking as to why I didn't. And he said, it's because I'm addicted to humanity and I want to be here to help them. So I am the last person to talk to. That's the last person to talk to about. And I love Ursula to death. And I built a grid for her a year ago. And, I've really encouraged her and I've been on her show and she's done mine. And she said, oh, you're so much Andromeda. And I said, okay, the drama part I get. And I'm not making light of it. I'm saying it's really not, and the other thing is, I'm going to mention it here. I won't pick up questions where someone says, da-da-da says this, do you agree? It doesn't matter. If you ask me cold and then you think about it in your own mind, how did the two work? That's your business. But I'm not about to get into an argument with other readers. So,
no. Thank you, Only Daughter, for becoming a member.
Oh, good.
She said that this is life-changing for her. This is life-changing for me and blessings. So beautiful.
And Jean once again said, please put your questions in caps and click like and share. That really helps me because that means that they will upgrade putting my shows out in feed. And
yes,
you have no idea. That's how people who don't know who I am find me because, who's this weird woman with purple hair and what the hell is she talking about?
You did have another comment or another question there really quickly since we're paused between questions about how do people find information out about the joining your garden.
Go to my Nancy Jean's garden and there's a little button there called join. And I'm very simple. I don't have a ton of levels. I don't have buy me a cup of coffee or any of that crap, which is not crap. I mean, that's how people do it. But mine just says you're part of the garden club. And when you're part of the garden club, there's 2 things I'd suggest is one, buy the garden. And it shows on my website, which is crystaldirections.com. You can find out how to buy the garden and I will be glad to ship them to you. I have about 100 sitting in inventory. And when they go, I have to sit down and decide if I want to make more because they are what they are. And we sold a whole lot of them last summer and ran some classes in them. And I've worked with some people who've been working with them over the year. So you're coming in at a time when we have a much better understanding of how this works. For those of you who don't know, and I will try not to bore the ones that do, I was told by the masters to create this. It's not a divination tool we could find. And when Alma and I went into making the artwork and creating it, she searched everything. And the only thing she could find was in the 1800s in Germany, there was something like this. But otherwise, we couldn't find anything like this. And then every day I'd wake up and they would tell me, okay, now you're going to use these stones. These are the words you're supposed to talk about. And they just gave me the words in a list, and Alma and I kind of put them on there. And then I was like, I was looking at it going, how the hell do you read that? And then every night, a year ago, every night for some of the spaces got a couple of different nights of dreams, but I realized I was having visions about the garden, and I set up my phone so I could just roll over, talk the vision into my phone, and then look at it again in the morning, because it's one of those things that you don't always remember what you see. Right. And I have a whole book you get if you decide you really want to study the garden, and I'm going to try to set this up so it's downloadable. Oh, please, God. Off my website. I'm tired of emailing things, but I'm going to create a resource.
From her lips to spirit's ears is what we're saying right there, folks.
Right. And she said she'd do it, my webmaster, but what I'll have is this resource guide. So you can go there and you can download the guide, you can download the keywords, you can download the grid that Danny helped me invent that matches my garden, and any other resource like Letter to Robin, which is open source now. You can go download that for free, and it really, yes, those things, those things, and learn about pendulums. I do all kinds of weird stuff, so that's my story, and I'm sticking.
It's not weird stuff; it's important stuff.
It's
we
just
appreciate it.
It's just different. Okay, do we want to go back to?
Yes, we have. Our next question is Jan's free at 118. I've been working on my pendulum for everyone in the chat for about maybe 2 months, and I could only get it to do yes. And then all of a sudden, I watched a show that Nancy Jean had done on pendulums, and it reminded me that Nancy Jean was kind enough to send me those sheets that I just held up. And then I went back and I got my sheets out. And now my pendulum is working, and it is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and I couldn't be happier. So the sheets are phenomenal, just as an FYI. So thank you, Nancy, for the sheets.
Okay, we're going to do Jan's free, what her spirits guides are telling her. And I don't know how many more questions there are, but I think we're going to freeze the questions now because I don't want someone disappointed. And just watch for the next show and put your question in then. Jan's free. What's the message from your spirits to me? Oh, this is good. This is interesting. Your mind is pulling your basic energies, your fire, water together, and when your mind's in fire, this is kind of like this is like boiling, right? Fire and water. Final thoughts to the situation are coming, and let go of all limitations. That's the biggest message your spirits are giving you. But they also have your body is coping with a lot of things are hitting you in a way that your body's saying, no, wait, stop, oops. Yeah, you think your options aren't clear. Look to previous situations that formed you to get the options to be clear. And you have the skills to do this. And that's what I think this is saying. Let go of the limitations. Get your butt out of restate, which is a part of the garden where you walk in the garden and there's all these lovely plants there, but they're not in the right order and they're not where they need to be. So you need to go and weed out the things that aren't working where they ought to be. But your spirit is clearly in earth. You're transforming right now, but you're not yet finished. And I think that's kind of fun because there are spaces on here when the rocks hit that say, your transmutation is complete. Why aren't you recognizing it? I always think that's kind of intimidating because really? And your ideas are correct. So that's what this is the warning. Your mind says, let go of the things that you've held on from the past. Your mind's in the right direction. Your guides are telling you you need to move forward. So you're in a really positive space.
Real quickly, speaking of guides, I've got the past life guides. This is from the Energy and Spirit Oracle. So that is karmic lessons and present assistance. So I feel like they're there helping you, sort of navigating you through this. I got movement, just as Nancy Jean said. All kinds of wonderful things are happening. And I love that card. It's so pretty. And then I got the wisdom of the Magi, which is mental clarity. So things are becoming more clear as you move and have this assistance from your past life guides, which is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to go to Bridget's. Happy birthday to all the Cancerians and Leos. But this is Bridget's question, and I'm going to use the dowsing garden.
Yep.
And this way is yes, and this way is no. Now, on this garden, it also has something that I think is really important for people to understand. There's 3 questions, and you really should ask yourself this before you start any readings. Once you ask for the day, I think you're okay. I don't ask every time I read, but do I have permission to douse? And you ask the dowsing thing. And if I don't, it's going to be a very short, okay, yes, we have. Am I aligned with my higher self? Yes. And am I fully protected? Yeah, my protection's a little bit weaker. This is heading towards no, but I've had some things happening around my house. I've had my printer decided to go into Mercury retrograde as a permanent lifestyle. So I'm working on those. But I have permission to douse. So I'm going to ask your question, which is, will my writing bring some income in this year? And then I'm going to try to do a season for you the same way I would do in the garden. Okay. Is her writing going to bring in some more income this year? It's a yes and a no. It's not going to bring in as much as you want, but it's more towards the yes than the no.
Yep.
And then I'm going to ask what season in the next, starting with up to summer next year, what season will she begin to see this income shift? Spring, in the spring. Sorry, it's not sooner, but I'm not in charge of the universe. I promise you, they wouldn't let me be.
I got sort of the same weird kind of yes as you did.
It's yes, but it's not like as fast as she wants.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we got?
But it's a yes, and that's the important bit.
Yeah, and it's next spring, and I think some of what you start this fall it's going to take that long to get it there. I don't know what kind of writing you do.
Right. So the next one that you have is Esther at 121.
121.
121.
Oh, I went right by you, and you didn't even put it in capitals. Okay, we're gonna throw to stones again. That's how I use dowsing charts, guys, by the way, and I've done a whole show on that, and found a really cool website in France that was in that show that has hundreds of kinds of dowsing charts. I mean, some of them I don't even know what you do with them, but it's kind of fun to play with them.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon Sykes, for putting my link in the chat here.
Okay.
You are awesome. We appreciate it.
Oh, we're just bouncing all over the place. Oh, cool. Well, these, you got go for it, true, and then this one's a path forward and false. This ought to be an interesting reading. We're going to start with your mind and the root chakra.
Holy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant by interesting? Because literally 4 cards just like went flying across my table.
I've never had 2 stones end up being just in the almost exact same place opposite each other on this board. And I mean, like, I haven't been reading it for 100 years, but when I see lineups like this, it makes me feel differently. And like, you got this big fat body rock, and it just very neatly fits on Earth. It doesn't drip over on anything else. But the 2 things you have is, but that's why I'm going to go to your mind first, because I was just drawn to it. Yeah. And I find that's one of the things when you work with the garden, you'll look at a garden and sometimes certain things will hit you and other times others. Now I know people look at that and they go, well, that's a shiny yellow stone. Of course you'd see that first. That's not always the truth. Sometimes I have to look, where's the mind? But your mind is in your root chakra. And when it's there, it says creativity and using your resources well is the key to your security. And then I've got what your clarity is telling you is, I'm going to read that message because it's up here by the mind, the most positive stone here. You got clarity and go for it. And go for it is move now on your intuitions. And when clarity shows up in true, it sees your ideas are correct. Now we're going to jump over our body, which is an earth, which is your body. feelings about how to deal with this are emerging in your body. The earth is where things grow from. But for your spirit, it says balance your energy to move ahead, and you should only move forward when your spirit is aligned with the situation. So if something feels a little funky, and that's why your body's in the earth.
Yeah.
Physical changes are coming. You don't have all the pieces you need to feel completely correct about this, but this is great. Having your intentions in air. Mental actions are the path forward towards abundance. Now that's telling me you're moving towards abundance. This is telling me this little bit of spirit here is saying kind of slow down. Everything's going to be there for you. Don't push it. And that your body, you're feeling these changes coming up around you. I can't tell you how perfect that map is with what I'm going to say about the end of the month. Go on, dear.
So real quick, I got currents of emotions. So uncontrolled feelings. So I'm not sure if you're experiencing the uncontrolled feelings or you're navigating through them. I also got balance, which is the Sagona tree. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, I got the forest, which is diversity. And then I got the air, which is Roosh, which always makes me laugh because every time I say Roosh, I feel like I'm saying whoosh, but I'm actually saying Roosh with an R. But anyway, mm-hmm. So I agree, right? The earth, like, staying balanced, staying grounded, really, really like tapping into that power. I think that's what's going to help. And also that the moment in the forest, in the nature, right? Sticking your hands in the soil, all that kind of stuff is going to really help maintain your balance while you work mm-hmm. through these uncontrolled sort of bouts of emotion.
Okay, I'm searching out new questions.
Yes, the next question is Deb at 128. And Esther says, I have been feeling wobbly.
Well, that also can be the changes you're undergoing. You want, it's 128, the lovely thing from Jean?
No, it's from Deb. I think it's Deb.
Deb Dubois, okay.
Yes, Deb Dubois.
Okay. Let's see.
Thank you, Sharon.
We have a pendulum chart for that, for chakras, if I can find it in my little stacky poo here. Mm-hmm. Guys, you can see my desk. You think that shelf behind me looks whacked out? You ought to try looking at my desk.
We have one more question after Deb's, which is Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say thank you for having me today, Nancy Jean.
Oh, you're delightful. I meant to, you were on my to-do list yesterday, and I forgot because I don't always check everything. And let's see. I think we're going to figure
time with you.
Oh, it's fun. And
I'm a huge Nancy Jean fan, just in case anyone hasn't figured that out.
You're a very good student. I taught her how to read, I taught her my system for formally learning Tarot.
Yes, she did. And she's an amazing Tarot teacher.
It's something I think, some days I think, oh, I should start doing that. And then I'm going, when? We're going to find out which chakra you need to work with based on this color chart.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Isn't it pretty?
Yes, that is pretty.
Deb Dubois.
Jean, by the way, Jean says you two are a great team. Thank you, Jean. Appreciate you.
Okay. Deb Dubois, which would be the first chakra she needs to work on. It ended up in blue, and that's your throat chakra. And you need to, oh God, well, as soon as I hit that, I could feel the very top of my throat closing off. You need to start telling people what they need to hear. I mean, I wouldn't say go slam them as hard as you want to, but what'd you get?
I got iceberg, which is submerged. So, like, in other words, not speaking your truth, right? Keeping that closed. That's what I got, which I was just happy I got blue.
Yeah, no, and you got blue, so it's this throat chakra too. Okay. Let's see, which other chakra would it benefit her to work on? Green, and that's your heart chakra.
No
I know
joke.
you think
No joke. Look at that.
oh, she got the heart. I'd say, okay, that's why. And I didn't do that as an ad for me, but that's why I created my lovely chakra eggs. That's the throat chakra. And you tie your energy to the essence in the middle of the egg. They don't like to stay in one place. And I do send them with stands, so you don't have to sit there and hold them all day.
Someone was asking me what my deck was that I was using.
Cool.
So
that's the throat chakra, because, and you see it's got blue, it's got lapis lazuli in it. And those are all crystals I picked out and sent to the guys who make the eggs. I don't make the eggs. They're made in a place in Wisconsin. And trust me, if you don't know about my eggs, you don't want to hear about it. I mean, you want to hear about how wonderful they are. You don't want to hear about what it took to get them here. But this is my heart chakra. And you'll notice it's got malachite and blue lace agate. And what you get when you get the egg, you get the stand, you get a wand. I send you an allowance prayer so you can tie your energy to it. And it helps free you up. And if you want to know more about the eggs, you go to crystaldirections.com and they are for sale there. And I have eggs right now. I have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, I have too many. I need to get rid of some of my eggs. But I do have an egg that they screwed up, and they put the throat chakra in upside down. It really doesn't matter which way that triangle points. But from my perspective, if he's like that, it looks like Mr. Bill on the old Saturday Night Live thing. So I didn't want it made that way. So I am going to, when I get 4,000 members, I'm going to have a drawing to get rid of my Mr. Bill throat chakra.
Nice.
So you can hang
I just want to mention to Deb that I pulled a third card and I've got Ocean, which is the ebb and flow. And
that's
so,
emotion.
That whole, I mean, I'm looking at the green in that little spot of green right underneath the sun and the water there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Things are moving for you, but throat chakra, I was told by Adrian from Red Lentil Healing to turn up the music and sing out loud. That opens up your throat chakra and starts the communication, allowing you to communicate, to listen, to hear. So just as a footnote, I thought I'd mention that.
Okay. We got a nice compliment from Jean, and I know who this Jean is. Jean, I know all kinds of spiritual stuff because she talks to me a lot. Don't miss learning from her in the community. And I'm going to try, I always try to bring more information in. Do we have any more questions after that?
Yes, ma'am. One last question is Vicky at 131. Okay, everyone's being so kind in the chat. Debs says, thank you so much. I've been thinking about both of these lately. I have a tumor in my thyroid. I asked about your eggs yesterday.
Okay. Have you ordered them? Because it works on that whole structure. You know, the reason I started with the heart chakra is it's the middle one. And if you can build up all the great energy from the root chakra up, but if your heart's blocked, it's not getting into your higher consciousness. And you can have all the streaming from higher up coming down. But if it hits your heart and it can't be manifested into your creation, you're going nowhere. And hopefully, if I can get the eggs to be popular enough, then I have all the other chakras designed. So
the lady says that she has her heart chakra egg right in front of her while she's working, which is lovely.
Oh, good. Okay. Vicky, what does the garden want, for the rest of the summer? Okay.
Thank you, Helene. Helene says that Nancy, Jean, and Kelly work well together.
We do.
We work really well together, actually.
Well, I think we're related. My parents were Canadians. And,
yeah, Nancy Jean's my aunt. No, she's not. But she could be. Prince Charming's mom says that we're awesome together. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Our body stone is between restate and fire, and we've run into this before. Your options you don't feel are very clear because you're dwelling too much in things from the past, and you need to embody the things from your past, but that means bring them forth and kind of weave them into who you are in a positive way. That does not mean carrying the past around like a big fat baggage, you know. I mean,
Yep.
he's letting it go. And then you got spirit and go for it. And it says, really, right now, movement should be easy for you. And your mind is in true. And when the mind is in true, it says positive thoughts are here to help you manifest. And you've got your clarity and your path forward. And that's just a wonderful thing. It says, look carefully. Almonds are around you all the time. They're always around you. And your value one rolled off, but it hit the tree of life because I saw it just before it went away. And they do that. I don't know if my table's gotten, things are going,
Thank you, Michelle Shining Light, for becoming a new member of Nancy
good.
Jean's Garden.
Okay, the Tree of Life Harmony, and it says, fool's gold is the deception and not not recognizing the amount of the abundance that goes beyond your physical world. Learn how to deal with the lesson of harmony. So that makes sense. That makes sense with this stone. But you've got everything together. So you just need to focus on that. If you're not keeping a great big fat gratitude list, girl, you need to. What you got, girl?
I've got the dolphin, which is listening. So, you know, there's that whole thing about hearing and listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are telling you stuff, and you're like, you're just not ready to tune in and listen yet. You're not quite ready to take what the information that you've received and put it into action. I feel like you're navigating through stuff, like you're trying to find the right door, right?
Right.
Like going to that old game show, you know, and you knock on door number 1, you know, or door number 2 or door number 3. Keep listening. And I would even go so far as to say Nancy Jean might be able to throw something in here. I don't know if you're getting messages, like if you're seeing synchronicities or not, or maybe you're having some dreams and you can't quite figure out why you're dreaming that. I feel like maybe someone's trying to send you a message, and you're not quite cluing into that. I think once you do that,
what you need to do is go look at my community page. And a couple of my days ago, I posted this picture, and it's this worn out guardian angel that looks like she's been through it. She goes, I've knocked on your door. I've sent you feathers. I've done. And he said, why aren't you listening?
Well, I think once you do that, Vicki, then I got Dawn New Beginnings.
Yeah.
A whole new way of doing things, and a way of approaching things, and a way of feeling about things are going to sort of open up for you, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and just, you know, this morning I rolled over and I thought, I got a show, I've got information on it. I had some good questions already in comments. I knew it was going to sail along. But I thought, God, you know, and I rolled over and was going to open up my phone to kind of see what's going on. And there was the most beautiful, and I'm not subscribed to this guy's channel. I have no idea how I got it. It was a guy who just goes out and photographs the sunrise on this lake by his house. And I haven't seen a sunrise on a lake in gazillion years because I don't go outside. Right. But it was and you could hear the birds in the trees, and it was about 2.5 minutes of just watching the sun come up, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Well, listen, if I like to get up early in the morning, I would do that. But I want to, if I can, while you keep talking, I'm going to show you a picture that I took of. I happen to live next to the largest freshwater body of water in all of the world.
Lake Michigan?
No, fresh body water. It's Georgian Bay, which is part of Lake Huron.
Oh, and, okay.
I'm happy to report that I took this shot myself many moons ago. Go ahead, you keep talking, and I'll find the picture.
Anyway, so I think what the garden's telling you is they're sending you lots of synchronicities, but somehow you're tying back to the past. You can do a meditation just getting yourself relaxed and saying, I'm releasing the past. And that'll help you move beyond that point. Because I don't see you tied into it all that greatly. I see a whole lot of other stuff lining up just beautifully for you. Okay, I'm going to go through this quickly. What do you got? You want to show your picture?
I took that shot. Now the lake is frozen.
You didn't take that today, I know.
No, okay. Not today. But isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is.
Wasn't actually the shot I was going to show you. I was going to show you a sunrise or sunset, because I'm not up early in the morning, so I don't do sunsets. I do sunrises, but this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Minus my car window, because clearly I didn't get out of the car. Look at that. That's that same body of water.
Mm-hmm. That looks like the Canada I know.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. What I'm going to go into is this week we have some incredible things. We have Jupiter's trine Mercury, Jupiter's trine the Sun. That's all wonderful flowing energy. I know there's some astrologers who think Jupiter's just a big gas bag that never really delivers, but I think we should welcome this because we have a new moon on the 28th. If you don't know, this is a moon of letting go. And so if you want to get rid of stuff for the lady who needs to kind of get rid of her negative thoughts, go tie to that new moon and you will do really, really well, because this is the time when you work with the moons, it works much better. And so I hope you'll try to tie into that and use this energy, because on the 31st, we have Uranus and Mars conjunct the North Node. And the North Node is bringing in the new energy. And Uranus brings in energy, but it brings in incredible, erratic, kind of crazy energy. I know because Uranus has been going through my natal sun sign for 3-4 years. When it came into my sun sign is when I dyed my hair purple. And then it went out. And then I was like, am I going to keep it purple? Yeah, I'm going to keep it purple. But so that's kind of how I remember when it happened. But it's been a ride. Having Uranus in your natal sun sign is just all kinds of fun, especially when it decides to retrograde over your natal sun like 3 times. So it brings a lot of incredible erratic energy, and it's kind of up one day, down the other. But Mars meeting with it, Mars, as you know, it's not just a martial war. It's not just a god of war. It's a god of action. And so we've got that happening. And my gut has been telling me that this conjunction is going to be as important as the one we had on January 12th, 2020, which, if you haven't seen it, there's a documentary you can find on Prime called The Astrology of the Pandemic. And it explains how these big planets, when they go back through history, every time these 3 planets lined up, all hell broke loose. And usually it was pandemics, but it also was the Reformation from the Catholic Church, a lot of other stuff. Very interesting history lesson, very interesting lesson in how to understand how the planets form our lives. So I have a feeling that this 31st is going to be every bit as important. So you just need to get ready for the ride, because people used to say to me in 2020 when I was talking about this, because I talked about it nonstop from when I became really aware of it in December, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Finally, I was at this guy's birthday party and reading his cards, and I said, it's like the world's going to stop. And he said, how could the world stop? Well, we knew by March how to stop the world. And I don't think it's going to be anything like the plague. I think it's going to be like I think there's going to be a complete soul change with people about understanding the point of being an individual within the collective. And it's going to be a point of people beginning to, I hope so, because I worked in politics for years. For those of you who didn't know that, and probably are clicking the channel off right now, but I was a political consultant in a more liberal vein. And I can't tell you how frustrating it was to watch those last few years when people were just, oh, well, it doesn't matter whether I vote or not. One woman who said that to me, and then I found out she hadn't voted, she said, oh, well, how bad can it get? Honest to God, the next time I saw her, I ran into her at a store that we both have a connection with. It was one of the few times I went out during the plague. We were both masked up, and I was still wearing gloves on my hands because I had a lung condition that if I got COVID, I wouldn't have survived. Right. And she looked at me, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, I never thought it could get this bad. So now is the time for us to step up and realize if you live in a lot of different states, your primaries are in August. And you need to go spend, there's a thing called Ballotpedia, and I don't have a thing set up to how to spell it, but it's like encyclopedia, but with ballot in the front. If you go to that, they have every race from school board on out for every state, and you can go find when your primaries are. And they even have a section on where do I need to go to vote. And so there's no excuse. If you can find me on this channel, you can find Ballotpedia.
Yeah. It's an interesting point that you bring up. I'm not sure if anyone here knows who Brian Tyler Cohen is. He's a YouTube sort of independent news person.
Mm-hmm.
And he interviewed Vice President Kamala Harris the other day, and she was saying the very same thing that you are, and reminding people that, you know, it's not just about like governor races, you know, it's about the state's attorney general. And I'm Canadian, I don't know all the terms, but you know, it's about the school board, and it's about everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way to make that change is to get out and vote.
Right. Yeah. Right now, the ACLU is leading an enormous campaign to educate people about their state's attorneys and their local district attorneys, because the way the laws are set up in Texas, if a district attorney says, I'm not going to arrest this person if they perform an abortion, that's their call. And I mean, it also means you got to kind of learn. Apparently, they quit teaching civics, but in the States, I don't know what they do in Canada, but people just don't know who does what. And that's really important. But anyway, that's my soapbox for today. These changes are coming.
Sorry, Celtic Seer is saying that they cannot find the join member button.
On my on my YouTube site?
It should be right underneath the video that you're watching. Right underneath the video should be, you should see two boxes there. Right underneath the video.
I'm going to go check, and if it's not there, I'm going to go scream at
Please hold while Nancy Jean screams. No.
Nancy, yes, while Nancy Jean gets hold of YouTube and said, you up again. Okay. Let's see, because I know it's there because I was checking the memberships yesterday, and there's no, I mean, I haven't done anything that they'd kick my butt off for that I know of. I mean, I haven't done anything that they'd kick my butt. See, I really am looking at my website. You just heard me. Yeah, if you go to...
Yeah, it should be right next to the subscribe button. Hi, Jim.
Yeah, subscribed, and there's a blue little line that says, I don't have that camera on. There's subscribed, and then there's a blue thing that says join. That's where you join for a membership.
Right.
Go to the blue join, and that will get you on the list. And if you do it by the end of this week, I'll be able to get you the invitation to come to the first garden party.
Right. So what sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Michelle's Shining Light just said the thing that I can't believe all of us YouTube people didn't think about. Thank you, Michelle. If you refresh, so go back out and come back in, and the join button will be lit up.
Mm-hmm.
See it next to the name, and right next to it is the subscribe button. Thank you, Michelle. And Vicky Howell just became a member of the garden.
So somebody's doing it. They can find it.
Yeah.
And if you, what we're going to do in the garden parties to give you a little more background on that, and then I will let you go because this has gone on way longer than I expected it to. You can, when you come, if you don't have a garden yet, if you ordered a garden today, you might get it by Saturday, but it is still Louis DeJoy's post office, so I'm no guarantees. And if you're in Canada, I can guarantee you it won't. But and it's not the Canadians' fault. It's these idiots in Carroll Stream, Illinois, that hold on to everything like their life depended on it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through, this time is going to be sort of the anatomy of the garden. I'm going to start specifically reading the legends and the meanings of all the spaces as they were presented to me by the people I was channeling them in from. I'm going to talk about the significance of the stones. This is going to be a real kind of baseline thing. This stuff's all written out too, and I will tell you at that time how to get a hold of that information. Hopefully, Anjali will have put it up as a resource material. If not, I get to type a whole lot of emails. Anyway, and that's fine. I'd love to do that. But and then it's going to be kind of the anatomy of it. But what I eventually see the garden parties becoming is people become more and more educated into the garden, and will break off into breakout rooms, and you can read each other and you can practice, because the only way to learn how to read the garden is to read the garden. And if
Okay,
I can't,
hold on just one sec, Nancy Jean.
sure.
I'm gonna show. So for the people that are saying that you don't see where to join and how to join and all of that stuff, I'm gonna grab my pen here, turn my phone around, and try to show you. Okay. So this is on the screen there. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, but
I know it's a little fuzzy. So the join button is right there.
Yes. Right there.
So right beside her, Nancy Jean's name, that's where it is on your phone. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Thank you. Someone thinks I'm a rock star. That's lovely.
Woohoo! Michelle Shining Light wants to know, do we have to have a garden?
You don't have to have a garden. You're going to get kind of lost, and you don't have to buy one right now. You might want to come to the come to the garden party, because you're not tied to me for life. I can't track you down like the IRS. Trying, but anyway, what we will do is, if you just want to come along and see how it works. Thanks, Cold Toes.
Cold Toes.
If you want to kind of look at it and see if it's something, I'm going to tell you, it looks weird if you're used to cards. There's a couple things. Is it doesn't do yes nos, because what I was told was we needed, I don't know if you understand this about runes. Runes don't do yes nos either. And every question you ask has to be situational. In the runic tradition, if you wanted to say, like the lady who was asking when she asked about a house, I said, what is the situation around her living circumstances? And we pulled in house. But you can't say, will I buy this house? You have to say, what is the situations that I'm living in? And the runes, that's how the runes work. That's the other reason why I figured out that we needed to ask our questions that way. So it's a different way of phrasing questions. A lot of times if you ask a yes, no, you're limiting the perspective you can have over what you're looking at. And it doesn't do politics, and it was programmed that way by me. Deb Dubois says all she gets is the subscribe and the bell.
Maybe you have to hit subscribe. I don't know. Like
I think you have to be subscribed to join. So
you
if you hit subscribe, then it'll show up.
Yeah.
But I'll try to get this straightened out in my head how it works, because all I know is that ever since forever I've seen join things on people's sites. And trust me, guys, I've been doing this for a month. I have one person who's been there for a month. She joined like the first day I set it up. And I was just like, oh, and I mean to get these people in class. And that was the other thing, figuring out how to communicate with them, which I was making much more of a pain than it really was, but which is typical of sometimes when I get involved with electronics. But anyway, you don't have to have a garden. And if you want to join and throw me $3 extra for that month, and come, we'll have 2 of them. We will have one Saturday where we won't have it because I will be in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, lots of people are saying in the chat that there's other ways. So can they, if they go to your website, Nancy Jean, can they join the garden from the website?
No.
It has to be.
It's a YouTube membership.
YouTube.
Yeah, and it was a big debate I had, because Patreon, I could have gone with Patreon to create my memberships instead of YouTube, but I got a Patreon membership one time to an organization, and when I canceled it, it didn't cancel, and it took me 2 months of fighting with them.
Gotcha. So Sharon Slipe and I think Only Daughter are also saying that and Michelle Shining Light, if you right underneath the chat box, there's the $, and if you click on that $, then the join option should pop up there too, right?
Deb Dubois, do you know how to take a picture of what's on your screen, and could you email it to me so I have some proof when I want to go talk to YouTube about this? or
Yeah.
anybody else. And you know what my email is? It's crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com. And yeah, the $ is super chat, which is lovely. That gets me money. It doesn't get you a membership.
Right.
If you guys, anybody who's out there who says you don't see this on your phones, please get that to me, and I will. I don't have anything else to do today but talk to the YouTube people. That's really true. I was going to make my next 3 days worth of meals, but I'll just starve the next 3 days and get y'all on there.
Oh my gosh. That's funny, Nancy Jean.
Well,
thank you for having me. It's always
thank
a
you
treat.
for coming.
I love being here and spending time with you.
And thank you to all the people who've shown up, all the people who've supported me for so long. I mean, there's some people here who showed up when I started in December of 2020. So, and I'm really happy to have you here. And I really want to teach people what I know about, so that you can. It's why I don't ever say, oh, I just envisioned all the stuff about crystals. No, I went to Ethan Lazzarini. I went to a lot of people. I spent a year or more before you ever saw me on YouTube really studying crystals and figuring out how to work with them. And it was just natural for me. And I want people to work with stones in the garden and stuff so that they can become natural for you too.
Before I go, I want to say, I'm not sure how many thumbs up we have for the chat, but there's 38 people watching, and
we have 56 thumbs up.
We have lots of thumbs up. So thank you everybody for doing that. High flowing, by the way. Oh, look. We love you, Nancy Jean, from Prince Charming's mom.
Ah. Thank you. Oh, I don't know what kind of phone you have. You can search on your phone, screenshot, and it'll take you to the place you need to go. Because I have had to walk clients through that for various and sundry reasons. And I just want to really thank everybody thank you for trying to double up the number of thumbs up from you.
That's so cool, Genealogy. Appreciate you. And thank you everyone for joining Nancy Jean's garden party.
Whatever you're doing.
Listen, I'm telling you, first of all, yeah, sure, I have a channel, but I am a fan of Nancy Jean's, and she's just a lovely lady. She is a wonderful person, and she is beyond. I mean, she's like a walking encyclopedia. She knows so much about so many things, and I only know that my personal experience was I met her like twice, and I asked for help, and she was like, yes. And she's been a huge supporter of mine, and so, I thank you for supporting her because she deserves it. She's a wonderful person. So
well, thank you. But Kelly's really sweet, and she's lovely, and she was sitting up there in Canada saying, I've got all these cards, but I'm not sure what they really mean. And trust me, there are readers out there who I think are excellent readers who've never studied tarot formally, but I used to teach it to people. And in 6 weeks, I can take you from, I've got this deck of cards to, oh my God, I can really read this. And I'd love to do that too, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And yeah. I taught you. You were sort of my checkout, and she was a great student. But I was like, God, how can I do this for other people? Now that we can get out more, maybe we can change some of that.
Yeah. Hopefully things start to, loosen up a bit.
Well, I think we're going to have one more bad hit of COVID in the fall, and then I think it's going to calm down to being an endemic instead of a pandemic. If you know what the difference is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gaining momentum again here in Canada as well. So,
yeah, well, I know that's another reading altogether. But the good news is the DOJ is looking at Trump. So if nothing else happens this week,
yes.
Okay, with 4 thumbs up, we're gonna get out of here and let you go to have the rest of your day. Thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.
Blessings.